Foerschi 1979 Betta, from icon Betta, the vernacular Malay for species of this genus. Foerschi, named for Dr. Walter Foerschi, who co-collected the type series. Known from a handful of localities in Kalimantan Tengah, Central Kalimantan Province, and around the settlement of Kubu in Kalimantan Barat, Western Kalimantan Provinces, Indonesian Borneo. Type locality is Mentaya River System, 250 kilometers northwest of Banjarmasin, Borneo, Indonesia. Typically inhabits forest swamp streams and pools, some of which have been measured at just a few centimeters deep. These are usually shaded from the sun, the dense canopy of branches above meaning very little light penetrates the water surface. Marginal vegetation also tends to grow thickly. The water itself is often stained with humic acids and other chemicals released by decaying organic material. The dissolved mineral content is negligible, pH low, and substrate composed mainly of fallen leaves, branches, and submerged tree roots. Maximum standard length 40 to 50 mm. An aquarium with base measurements of 60 x 30 cm or equivalent is sufficient for a single pair. Can be maintained in a fully decorated aquarium, although many breeders prefer not to use a substrate for ease of maintenance. Driftwood roots and branches can be used and placed such a way that a few shady spots are formed, while clay plant pots or lengths of piping can also be included to provide further shelter. The addition of dried leaf litter offers additional cover and brings with it the growth of microbe colonies as decomposition occurs. These can provide a valuable secondary food source for fry, while tannins and other chemicals released by the decaying leaves are considered beneficial for fishes from blackwater environments. There is no need to use natural peat, however, the collection of which is both unsustainable and environmentally destructive. Like others in the genus, this species seems to do best under fairly dim lighting. Aquatic plant species that can survive under such conditions include Microrhizum, Toxophyllum or Cryptocorin spp. While floating, vegetation is also appreciated by the fish. This species requires acidic conditions with negligible carbonate hardness and very low general hardness, meaning a reverse osmosis unit or other method of obtaining soft water may need to be employed. This can be further acidified using phosphoric acid or similar if necessary. As it naturally inhabits sluggish waters, filtration should not be too strong, with an air-powered sponge filter set to turn over gently adequate. Keep the tank well covered and do not fill it to the top, as like all Betta spp. It requires occasional access to the layer of humid air that will form above the water surface, and is an excellent jumper. Water conditions: temperature 22 to 28 degrees Celsius, telephone 4.0 to 6.0, hardness 18 to 90 ppm, likely to prey on aquatic and terrestrial invertebrates in nature. Captive fish will normally accept dried products once they are recognized as edible, but should be offered plenty of small live or frozen foods such as Daphnia, Artemia or Chironomid larvae, bloodworm, regularly to ensure development of optimal color and condition. Take care not to overfeed, as Betta spp seem particularly prone to obesity. Not recommended for the standard community aquarium. Its care, requirements and disposition mean it is best kept alone or with very peaceful species. Some small cyprinids and loaches that inhabit similar environments in nature are suitable, but proper research prior to purchase is essential, and in most cases it is best maintained alone. Mixed reports exist as to whether it can be maintained in multiple pairs or harem-type groups comprising a single male alongside several females. Some state that, although some chasing and squabbling over territory occurs, physical damage is rare, while others recommend keeping it in single pairs, having observed sustained aggression by dominant individuals towards weaker conspecifics. Males are more colorful than females and develop extended unpaired fins. The opercular bars are usually orange-red and more well-defined in males, golden yellow in females. Paternal mouth brooder. Ideally organize a separate aquarium for breeding purposes, unless the fish are already being maintained alone. The aquarium should have the tightest fitting cover possible. Some breeders use cling film plastic wrap, because the fry need access to a layer of warm, humid air without which development of the labyrinth organ can be impaired. Following a protracted courtship, eggs and milt are released during an embrace typical of osphrogonids, with the male wrapped around the female. Several dummy embraces may be required before spawning commences. However, in contrast to the majority of mouth-brooding Betta spp, the eggs are not caught in the anal fin of the male but that of the female, as is usual in bubble nesting congeners. The male then collects the eggs directly in his mouth and the cycle is repeated until the female has released all her eggs. A brooding male may swallow or release the eggs prematurely if stressed or inexperienced, so it is preferable to leave the female and any other fishes in situ. The incubation period is 8 to 14 days, after which the male will begin to release free-swimming fry. Unusually, the male may accept food during this period. The adults tend not to eat fry, and some breeders have reported them to develop at a faster rate when left with the parents. The fry are large enough to accept motile foods such as microworm and Artemia nauplii immediately, though it should be noted that there exist reports of young Betta developing health issues if fed excessive amounts of the latter. Water changes should be small and regular rather than large and intermittent. In the aquarium hobby, populations from different localities are often labeled as such by collectors and enthusiasts in order to maintain accuracy and preserve pure bloodlines, for example, Kubu, Pangkalinban, Tangkiling, Tarantang, Pujakuali. This species lends its name to the Betta Foerschi group of closely related species within the genus, of which members share the following set of characters: possession of iridescent blue or green impaired fins, rays and interradial membranes in impaired fins not contrasting, dorsal fin with thin, bright white distal band, apical with two reddish-yellow vertical bars. Members are regarded as being closely related to bubble nesting Betta species since they exhibit certain similarities in morphology, particularly in the structure of head and mouth, color pattern, and reproductive strategy. Fish traded as B40 are